Well, much to the chagrin of its fans, this one is one season and done. Amazon Prime, after a couple months of release, declined to renew this 16th century satire. Let's talk about My Lady Jane. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my TV review for My Lady Jane on Amazon Prime. This is an 8-episode series, as it did not get renewed for a second season, so we've got just these 8 episodes to check out. And actually, the latter half of the series is called My Queen Jane. Sort of a little bit of a spoiler for the ascension to the throne about halfway through the series. But in any event, many people were fans of this, including George R.R. Martin, the famed author, and were a bit upset with Amazon Prime for canceling it, but guess it didn't get enough viewers. But I checked it out anyway, so we're going to talk about this in just a second. First, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a subscriber already to Dan Reviews It, thank you so much for that. Love it when you guys return and check out my videos. But if you're not, please consider subscribing and click that notification bell, and that will alert you for all my new video drops, which I try to make videos every day, so there's always a lot going on here on the channel. But you could just like this video or comment below. That stuff, of course, helps the channel out as well. So this is a 16th century comedic look, a satire, if you will, at the Lady Jane Grey, if she had lived. And she is coerced in this series by her mother into marrying Lord Guilford Dudley. Jane Grey is portrayed by Emily Bader, who I wasn't really familiar with by name, but she was in one of the Paranormal Activity movies and a couple of other horror movies. Nothing, super of note, though. And then Lord Dudley was Edward Blumel. Again, somebody I wasn't really familiar with. He was on Killing Eve, though, which I've never seen. I know that's, supposed to be a great show, but I sort of missed it. So I didn't really know him either. In fact, most of the people here I didn't really recognize, except for the Duke of Leicester is Jim Broadbent. We know him from many, many things. And Dominic Cooper as well appears. You might know him from a few things. But this is sort of the latest in a long line, it seems, of streaming shows that sort of take a more satirical look at these sort of classic eras. You had Dickinson, which was about Emily Dickinson with Haley Steinfeld, and that was on Apple Plus. You had The Great. That was, I guess, probably the first one to come out, and that was Nicholas Hoult, and was it Dakota Fanning or Elle Fanning? I think it was Elle Fanning. And that actually garnered, a bunch of Emmy nominations and stuff. People love that one. And, you could even throw Bridgerton, really, into that mix. That's not necessarily a comedy, more drama. But they've all got this sort of more up-to-date, language. Like, Haley Steinfeld was sort of saying, current phrases and stuff. In Bridgerton, you had the music that orchestras were playing would be, Ariana Grande and stuff like that. And so this is sort of in that vein. I can't remember if The Great did that or if it was just more of a satirical look. I can't remember any sort of current day expressions or whatever in that. But this definitely sort of has that going for it. More probably in the sense of the narrator. There's a narrator here that is I think, I would say, the most contemporary of all of the characters in this. The characters themselves, I'm trying to remember, do they speak, in sort of current day slang? I don't think necessarily they do. Maybe a little bit here and there, but I think it's more kind of the narrator, leading us along. But all of these sort of have that similar kind of vibe. Again, Bridgerton, not necessarily a comedy, but, that satirical, comedic look at that era and, women giving no rights and how ridiculous that was and all of this kind of thing. So I don't know if it helped or hurt that I didn't really recognize the people. Certainly in all of these other shows I've mentioned, I knew who the actors and actresses were. This one, though, because I didn't, it sort of did allow me to get a little bit more lost in the story, which is certainly a good thing. And there's some humans turned animals here as well. There's got to be a specific name for that, I guess. But for example, he, her soon-to-be husband, she realizes in the second episode is actually part horse and all of this. So that sort of lends to the comedy and the fantasy of it all. But it may go a little bit too over the line with the fantasy. The other shows are sort of grounded in more of a reality of like, okay, what would it have been like if these people were around now under the same sort of oppression and what have you that they were then, and sort of that blending. This one is a little bit more fantasy, I think, than the other ones, and that might hurt it a little bit. But this was a lot of fun to watch. I have to admit, I can see why people, especially the people that love this type of era, in terms of period pieces and whatever. The Jane Austen type stuff, maybe, and this goes back a little further than that, even. But I don't usually gravitate towards those types of stories, but I have to admit, I like a lot of these sort of more redesigned looks at them, bringing them a little bit more contemporary. I sort of liked that. I think The Great and Dickinson are both wonderful shows. I think this one falls right in line with it. Bridgerton, I'm a little bit less on. I know everyone loves Bridgerton. But for me, I found this to be very funny, very charming. The romances are kind of believable. The chemistry, between the families is believable. You really are kind of sucked into that era, but with a modern day mindset. Like a lot of these shows I'm mentioning, and because this is coming sort of after all of these other ones, it lacks maybe some originality, but it's for me one of the most fun to watch. And I enjoyed Dickinson probably the most of all of them. Just because the royal family stuff kind of gets a little bit old for me. I'm not really a fan of royal family and the mythos and all of that. Whereas Dickinson was just about the poetry of Emily Dickinson and all that, and incorporating that into the show. I thought that was a little more fun than this. But this is, for the genre, I think it is definitely a win, and I can see why people were bummed that this was canceled after just those 8 episodes. And George R. R. Martin, like I said, was a fan of this, and he was very vocal about, how could you cancel that? But look, we've got these 8 episodes that you can watch and enjoy again if you'd like, and they are on Amazon Prime. But unfortunately, we will not be getting a season 2 of My Lady Jane, or My Queen Jane, like I said, as it's known, towards the latter half of the season. But I leave it with a B+, and you can check out all those 8 episodes now. All right, thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It, and I'll see you next time. Bye.